You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog Liberty podcast. I'm in Boston, everybody. This is episode number 97 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell, and today I'm joined by co-host Mr. Dakota Davis.
Today's episode is featuring Mr. Rob Kendall, who's a producer on for the Chicks on the Right. He's also the host of the Rob Kendall Show, and he also does a video series called Where Did Your Money Go? We will be talking to Rob about the State of the State address delivered by Governor Eric Holcomb, some legislation that is we think might pass through. Maybe it's going to get killed in the Indiana State House, and we will also be talking about our culture's just general. I guess we just like to be outraged about things, right, Rob? Like.
The governor's
who knows
doing
what's
a
going
fine
on
job.
with that?
He's doing a great job.
He's losing all of his friends. I think the Boston accent came in because of the Super Bowl and the damn Patriots being back in there.
Go Pats.
So Chase will be on the sports desk, and he's going to have a hunting update for us. Over on the producer desk, we got Chris Guffey, who's supposed to be covering the Newcastle City elections. This show, as always, is going to be fun, entertaining, and it's about our lives in rural Indiana. Whatever the hell we think is interesting is what the show is about.
All right, this episode is also brought to you by Montgomery's Steakhouse in Spiceland, Indiana. They have so much to be proud of. For the past 5 years, they have been voted to have the best steak in Henry County, and they have been voted to have the best ribs for the past 3. I tested out the ribs. Fantastic.
Not only is the food absolutely spectacular, but the atmosphere and staff make it the best dining experience you could ask for.
For the past 4 years, Montgomery's has hosted the District 6 Libertarian Party Area Convention in one of their very top-notch reservable meeting rooms that they have available.
For great food, great drinks, and a great time, go see our friends at Montgomery Steakhouse, just south of I-70, Spiceland, Indiana. Tell them Boss Hog sent you. Try to avoid Darren Jacobs at all costs. Love you, Darren. We worked him in early in the show. We don't have to complain about him now.
We'll still complain about him. Darren
I hear Darren's
socialist.
got big things brewing down there. Big things.
What are you hearing? What rumors?
I don't know. Maybe a bed and breakfast? I don't know.
A bed and breakfast.
I hear Darren's going to make you bacon and eggs. They've got the hog farm just a couple miles outside of town, and
very nice of him.
And Darren's got the chickens, of course. Breakfast, bacon and eggs by Darren.
The bed and breakfast really goes along with Darren's socialist principles of what's mine is yours.
Oh man! Well, I'm excited to be here tonight. This is the dead of January, episode 97. It's January 20-something, 27th, 24th. Yeah, whatever, close enough. And the studio is David Letterman quality in here today. It's like I walked in and it's 49 degrees.
Yeah.
So
it's horrible.
We pay our own heat bill. We should probably start warning our guests that they need to bring a parka to come in. But it's all good.
Rob's looking good.
We do have to say thank you. Aaron Eldon Pitts is in the chat going, yes, Darren Jacobs. Everybody knows about Darren. Patreon thank yous. Brant Spicer, Christy Avery, John Phillips, and Craig DaCosta. Craig gets special notice this week. Why, Dakota?
He does. Because, Craig, I showed up to my house yesterday and there was a box, a great big box that was there waiting for me. It had the Amazon smile on it. And Craig was gracious enough to hop onto Amazon.com and search for Boss Hog of Liberty. And he found our wish list and he ordered brand new backlighting for the studio.
Ooh.
He ordered a brand new headphone amp.
They're no longer the clamp-on shop lights. They are very premium uplights with bases that are not a fire hazard.
That's true. And Rob, I don't know if you've noticed, but the last time you were here, there was an awful buzz in your headphones.
There was.
And that is because we had a terrible headphone amp, and Craig DaCosta bought us a premium headphone amp off of Amazon.
Nice, Craig.
You know, in all seriousness, it's got to be very flattering to you guys to know that, all joking aside, that people care that much about the show.
You know, I was telling Jeremiah before the show started, I was like, the weirdest thing is that whenever I open that box and Amazon lets the buyer send a note along with it, the people are thanking us whenever they're buying us things.
It's
And
surreal.
It's the weirdest thing. I'm so grateful for it.
Craig,
it's so appreciative.
I'm always taking new applicants for being my new daddy. I'm really liking this, so I put you on first on my list.
But
I think about the value that people find in that they're like, I want to be, because they literally become a part of their lives, and then they want to be back and be a part of your life, and that's incredible.
It's incredibly humbling. They give us the ability to live out our dream of having a radio show and serving the people of our community and practicing this craft. And we don't know where it's going to go, but it's fun, and we're thankful. And
this place is awesome.
Every week that goes by, it's become its own entity, and it's really incredible. I every week I'm like, we really need to sell a sponsorship or do something, and then it just happens, and I'm like, man, this thing has got a life of its own, and it's just surreal. It really takes care of itself. It feeds itself, and I don't know how we found the market we did or found the path forward. But the show really does. It's an entity on its own,
and you're doing much better than Chris Spangle, which is the best part.
Well, Chris hit a low there for a while, but old Frank Caliendo seems to have taken pity on him and has him on his show now. So
there's not a lot of people that can say that their hobby pays for itself.
You're right.
And they don't.
Right.
And whenever they want to do their hobby, they don't have to do it at home.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It is. It's a dream come true.
Or at Dakota's home. We've gone from poolside to Dakota's spare bedroom to. I know it's not on Monument Circle on the high rise,
but at least we don't have homeless guys outside.
But we're
right?
downtown Newcastle.
Yeah, your odds of dying going to work are much smaller here than I have down on Monument Circle.
But your boy Abdul has solved homelessness. I think he's gotten them all removed from the streets of Indianapolis.
It's really an interesting thing because obviously there's going to be a mayor's race, and in a city that's 63% Democrat, it should be a walk in the park for Hogsett. But he's so inept, and the homelessness problem is so bad that if Merritt's going to have to get tough. But if he gets tough, he might have a puncher's chance.
So let's take a minute to introduce Rob for those that have forgotten about Rob. I don't know how it's possible, but it's been I don't know. You were with us probably 4, 5, 6 months ago. I lost track as to what episode Rob was last on.
I usually look it up whenever returning guests come on.
I know what it was. It was the week after you were here with Steve Horwitz, I believe, the same time. Is that right? Were you on with Steve Horwitz?
No. But I remember it was the highest. It was the highest rated episode ever.
It was
the most watched one ever.
But it was the same time, right around the same time as school, going back to school.
Yep.
Ron Colley, their thing happened.
Yep.
And
Joey was on,
and Joey called in. Yeah, so that was that time frame. So it was probably late September, somewhere in there. So your day job. You work for Big Jeff Samoan, the former owner of the this is sports over here of the Mariners. Jeff Samoan.
Jeff Smolian.
Yeah. Samoan. He's named after
he's owned
Girl
a lot
Scout
of,
cookies,
he's owned a lot of stuff. I've owned next to nothing, but he's owned a lot of things in his life.
So he's the Grand Poobah at 93 WIBC.
Yeah.
MS Communications.
4 stations in central Indiana.
That's incredible. He's got Hank FM.
105.7.
Yeah.
And 1070.
And 1070 The Fan.
Yeah.
Big Joe Stasiak's on the payroll.
Yeah.
We walk around with a guy in shorts all the time.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. I told Joe today when I see him on TV doing these commercials, and he kind of let me in on how they do the commercials now, so it kind of ruins some of the magic. But I always say it's always fun to be at a sports bar and look up and see Joe and go, my office is right next to that guy. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a great place to work, and they still, even though they own stations in New York and Austin, Texas, Jeff's based here, so it's pretty cool. WIBC sort of his baby that he really covets because it is such a heritage station. 80th anniversary was this year.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
then you had you talked about Joey. You had a cameo in one of the Espresso videos, doing a little Christmas dancing.
I had been begging those guys for over a year. I told them they were the Siskel and Ebert of WIBC, and neither one of them knew who those guys were.
Oh God!
And then they looked it up, and they thought it was hilarious. And
now I'm 35. I have to ask my younger co-hosts: do they know who Siskel and Ebert are?
Nope. No, I have no idea.
For real?
I really don't.
Isn't that interesting?
It's crazy because they were the movie critics of our era, and they were the old guys that would sit there and watch movies, and they would have a Saturday morning show, and they would Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert out of Chicago, I think,
Yeah.
both of them, and they would review 2 thumbs up. That was the thing.
Yeah, and the old guy Muppets were kind of loosely based on those
Yes.
dudes. The old guys that
Okay.
sit up in the theater and hurl insults. And
Oh, okay. That's cool.
And I thought they were joking at first, and they just looked like dumbfounded at me, like they had no idea who these guys were.
Yeah, I
and
don't
so
either.
I said, that's
It's
the
a-
first time I've ever actually felt old.
It's a different era.
Yeah, so I've been begging those guys forever to let me be in a video, and they finally let me be in the video for Christmas where Ben's dancing at various places.
I saw that one. That one was very funny. Very, very nice dance moves.
There's a lot of talk going on in our live stream chat right now, and they keep saying in the same sentence, Rob, Kendall, and Governor.
Well, you've been trying to have a summit. You've been offering a
Yeah.
beer summit. I guess we should offer you a beer summit.
Oh,
we're here.
perfect.
We're drinking beers. Do you want a beer?
Oh, that'd be whatever
Let's
you have in
all
there.
right.
Whatever would be fantabulous
We have
whenever you have a chance.
we have SKB from Sun King Brewery.
Oh, wow.
We have Two Hearted Ale. We have
Oh.
Black and Tans. We have Guinness Extra Stout, and we have whatever that is.
Barn Beast.
Only the finest. Yeah,
If he's running for governor of Indiana, he needs
Yeah.
something from Indiana.
yeah,
we
that's what I
can-
was going to say. I
we can
must-
also have a mojito made.
that seems a little uppity for this crowd.
Rob can't have a mojito because he's too close to Trump and building that wall. That sounds southern.
I don't know. Do you guys want to get into that now, or you want to save it, or
We'll save that for the reason the government shut down.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
no? I meant the governor thing.
Oh, we can
No,
get into
it's
that now.
it's
Yeah.
right here.
All right.
Potentially Indiana's next governor. It's right on the show notes.
It's really interesting because kind of started as a joke, and people have been really fired up about it, and at this point, it's like something you got to kind of at least think about, right? I mean, it's flattering that people say you have enough good ideas and you're entertaining enough and you care enough about people that we'd like to consider you, or you'd make a good governor for the state of Indiana. But that's a huge commitment, right? I mean, you went through that.
I was Rex's campaign manager, and it's not easy. It's not easy. You can't be afraid to work hard. You can't be afraid to ask people for money. That is the biggest struggle you have is overcoming straight ticket voting and overcoming the fact that PACs don't think you're in power.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 checks from the liquor lobby or the time lobby or the
Well, as you may have seen today,
or
the
teachers
liquor
unions.
lobby is not very happy with me right now. It'll come down to this, right? The conversation, Rex and I talked about this yesterday, actually, is all about how do you advance. Oh, that's so fabulous. God bless you. By the way, the mustache must stay. If you're going to vote, please vote.
There is a
Keep-
poll. Chris
keep
Guffey,
the mustache.
producer.
Oh, and that tastes fabulous as well. Tremendous choice.
Sun King,
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Marion County's own.
So the decision comes down to this, right? How do you best promote freedom and liberty? And I work at a heritage radio station, heard all across the state, where every day I get to talk to tens of thousands of people and promote freedom and liberty.
Now, somebody might say that there's no way you could possibly get elected working at WIBC, but there's a guy that's at
He's
that
doing
works-
quite well now.
that's pictures up on the wall in there that has the number 2 job in the country. So
Yeah.
it's not impossible.
Yeah, every day when I sit down, I think, I'm not a huge Pence fan, obviously, but I think that's pretty cool to think the vice president of the United States really not only made his name, but resurrected what was a pretty in shambles political career from that very seat. I mean, that's a cool thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
whether you like Pence or not, I mean, the guy was some guy in the dumpster heap of time after losing twice and used the power of that radio station in Network Indiana to resurrect everything. And so that's a powerful thing, and it really resonates how powerful that radio station is. And
Now, our friends in Rushville will say that he used Rushville's radio station to resurrect. And then, that was like the Brownsburg of the. If we're comparing the Mike Pence career to the Rob Kendall career, of course you're ahead of him by now.
Yeah.
because you haven't lost elections like Mike did.
I've never lost.
You're a prolific tax cutter, and then you retired on your own. Mike lost a couple elections, then he got into radio. You did the radio thing at the local level where Mike was in Rushville, you
Yep.
were in Brownsburg, and now you're both at WIBC.
Yep.
So the next thing is, I guess, somehow you have to convince Greg Garrison to take your job when you leave, and you go become, and then you win your election.
You know who else actually followed more of the Rob Kendall script, and it's really interesting. He went from being a municipal lawmaker to a statewide talk radio show host. Was Jesse Ventura. And Ventura, while he's kind of turned into a kook later in life, as governor, he was a very fiscally responsible guy whose whole thing he ran on the idea of the Jesse checks, which is giving money back to the people.
Now, remind me, was Jesse a Democrat or Republican?
He was a Reform Party.
Oh, a third-party guy. Yeah. And, ran his campaign on $300,000. It's really incredible. He literally was the mayor of Brooklyn Park and then got into talk radio, much like what would be the equivalent of WIBC in Minnesota. And people just started, much like me, saying, hey, you'd be really good at this. You should consider it. And he put it out there, and it caught fire, and he ends up winning and becoming the governor. And he ran on a lot of these same issues that are facing Indiana now. I mean, it's really incredible.
And these where did your money go videos that you're doing are a lot like Ross Perot's presidential campaign, where he would go on TV and he would have the chalkboard and he'd go, let me show you where your money went.
Well, I mean, it's disgusting, right? When you
this is how the government is screwing you.
When you start unpeeling the onion that is the Indiana budget, because you get sold this stuff, right?
I can't believe Dakota knows who Ross Perot is.
But you don't know who Cecil Bernard. When you start peeling back the onion, if anybody that's watching this hasn't done it, if you ever need a cure for insomnia, just open up the Indiana budget. You can Google it, pull it up, and we do a biennial budget, so it's 2 years. You can read through it. It's disgusting. We get sold this, hey, we're a state that works, good to great. We're fiscally accountable. No, we're just better than Illinois, and that's not really saying much. And people have bought hook, line, and sinker for so long. And I think it's starting to wear off a little bit about how great we were, because Mitch was great, right? Mitch was a good governor.
But Mitch hasn't been governor for a very long time.
And you've had two dudes now who are living off the legacy of Daniels, and they're nothing like Daniels. There was nothing in common. I worked for Mike Pence. There's nothing in common. It's why I quit working for Mike Pence.
Holcomb's a little bit more like Mike. But still, like Mitch.
But not from a fiscally responsible standpoint, right? I mean, when you enact 46 tax increases in 2 years, you got to work for that. I mean, you got to really try to raise taxes 46 times in 2 years, including the largest tax increase in the history of the state. And so the question becomes, how do you best spread that message of freedom and liberty? And right now I got a pretty good way to do that, but if it is running for governor on the libertarian side, because, look, Holcomb knows this. If I run for governor, there's no way he gets reelected. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Too much.
He knows, and that's why they're nervous about it already. I mean, look, I have it on great account, and this is honest, and you know me. I tell you how it is. His people are actively talking to people that are mutual friends, asking them whose side they're going to be on. And that really offends people, by the way. So if you're hearing this and you're part of the Holcomb administration, stop doing that. That really angers people. And also you need to tell people that people give word back to me about what you guys talk about. I have a lot of friends. And look, just start governing better.
It's a little bit early. Yeah, they've still got time to fix this, right?
Yeah, just start governing better, right?
Govern like a libertarian, be fiscally responsible and socially just stay out of our way, and maybe Rob won't have to run against you. But you've got this General Assembly to prove yourself.
This is not a hard thing, right? But we keep seeing that the donors and the lobbyists, because look, Bob Grand is the Scrooge McDuck of Indiana politics, right? He sleeps on a pile of money, he throws it up in the air each night, and he's bought and sold politicians for years, and now he's got the vice president in Washington. Eric Holcomb is a donor and lobbyist dream. He's the guy they always wanted. Eric Holcomb is the Frank Underwood of Indiana politics. How do you go from being third in a three-way Senate race, a distant third, in which your whole campaign strategy has been reduced to shooting baskets in all 92 counties? That's not a joke.
Are you saying he pushed an Indy Star reporter in front of a train?
I'm not saying he got that far.
Is he what happened to Twim Swearens? Because he had a bad outcome yesterday, man.
I'm not gonna lie, I love Frank Underwood, so I don't know who I'm rooting for now.
You said that you liked that horrid, disgusting
I did. I
video.
loved the video. Okay, I loved the video. What he did was awful. He's a terrible person. But I still love that video.
Do you know what video we're talking about?
What video you were talking about?
With Kevin Spacey.
Where he reemerged as
it was
Frank
very
Underwood.
awkward.
He reemerges Frank Underwood, but he basically told his story.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I loved it.
It was like, that made me.
He's a terrible person, but I loved it.
And look, by the way, let me say this: I've met Holcomb several times. I knew him in a media life. I've interviewed him numerous times before. We call them better days. We refer to those as the better days. But Eric Holcomb campaigned as a conservative. I never once heard him talk about raising taxes when he was out trolling around asking for votes. And he's a really nice guy. You meet him and you say, oh, well, what a very nice guy. He'd be fun.
What a nice young man.
He'd be fun to sit down and have a Sun King beverage with. But he is not governed in a fiscally responsible manner, and he's governed in a way that he's...
Do you think the supermajorities in the House and the Senate in Indiana have caused the the ruling party to trend more to the left?
Oh, sure.
I think that's what's happened.
It's arrogance, right? I mean, when you've got an issue like, let's just talk about the thing going on with Kyle Hupfer right now, where the Republican
Kyle Hupfer is he's the state chairman
right
now of the Republican Party. He was in
DNR,
and he ran for a state house race from Pendleton.
Yeah, and he was the treasurer for Holcomb when he ran. You've got the chairman of the Republican Party investing in a group that buys 31 liquor stores. Okay, I don't know what 31 liquor stores cost, but I'm betting if we pool our money together, we could not afford 31 liquor stores. That's a gigantic investment. Just last year and into this year, the state of Indiana, the Republican Party, Brian Bosma, Eric Holcomb, David Long, have done everything possible to deny common sense and freedom when it comes to consuming alcohol.
8 hours a day.
8 hours a day on Sunday. They ignore their own commission's recommendations. You'd have thought there was a mass murder at the Ricker store when Jay Ricker figured out how to legally sell cold beer. Those guys rushed to the podium to stop him. And you realize there's a reason they do this. The reason they do this is because they are bought and sold by the liquor lobby. Well, now you've got a guy who literally is the leader of the Republican Party. He's the chairman of the Republican Party.
Who just joined the liquor lobby.
Who has now bought 31 liquor stores. And in the article, they talk about how they're going to buy more. They want to buy more liquor stores. Well, it's easy to bet on the Super Bowl if you can control the outcome of the game. If you can sticky Tom Brady's hands together and he can never take the snap, it's pretty easy to bet on the Rams, right? So this guy knows that the state of Indiana, and now has a vested interest in the state of Indiana continuing to curtail liberty and freedom. That's arrogance. It's not illegal because he's not an elected official, but it's total arrogance, totally inappropriate. And in the article, what's really interesting is one of the guys that is investing with him talks about, hey, we're going to buy more liquor stores because we know there won't be new permits. Well, how do you know that? How do you know there's not going to be any new permits unless you're helping write the law? And this is the stuff these guys do because what's the other option, right? You got this dude, J.D. Ford, on the Democrat side, where his first bill is he wants to give discounted tuition to illegals. So a person goes, well, the Republicans suck and they're arrogant, but then I got these guys over here. What do I vote for?
Yeah, you get two parties of control, right?
Right.
And that's the issue you have is you have two bad decision makers. You have a party that says, I want to control business. They're not for free market. They're just for protectionism. And then you have another group that wants to take the state's funds and then redistribute them to other parties.
But the decision in running for governor has to be about more than, will I make sure that Eric Holcomb's not reelected? We already know that. If Rob Kendall runs, Eric Holcomb is not going to be reelected.
Hello, Governor Hammond.
Yeah, exactly. Or whoever they run out there because his record's so bad. But that's not worth giving up a job I love, and that's not the right reason to run, right? It's to advance the conversation of freedom and liberty. And if I get in, look, I know it's a long shot. But I've overcome a lot of long shots in the past, and if we can, I think we can raise $1 million. I know it's a huge lift, but look, we could be ultra competitive if I could raise $1 million because I will get millions and millions of dollars in earned media. Nobody will get earned media like me in all corners of the state, and that helps libertarians all across the party, whether it's state Senate races or state House races.
Down ballot
it absolutely does. And we got to put a ground game out there, and we're going to go if we do this. This is a 92-county thing. I'm not getting in it for name ID or name recognition. I've already got that. But if we can spread this message and we can get people fired up and we can knock on doors in 92 counties, I'll take care of the earned media side. I can't wait. I told Spangle this today. I can't wait until I turn on the nightly news and see that the Republican Party has to spend, let's say, $5 million in negative ads on a libertarian. I can't wait.
Oh, listen, from personal experience, I know that the Republican Party will go negative against the libertarian.
I mean,
I experienced it. By the way, I outraised and outspent all the other candidates in my race.
Combined.
I truly believe if I got in, very quickly, we would become the second party. I think it becomes a Rob Kendall, Eric Holcomb race. Now, again, he's going to have 15, 20, 30. They will not let him lose, right? I mean, he is their guy.
I think the thing that stands in the way of the Eric Holcomb versus Rob Kendall race is straight ticket voting.
You're right.
100%.
You're right. And
because I don't think that you can beat the head start that the Democrats even have.
Yep. And we mentioned Ventura earlier. Minnesota did not have straight ticket voting.
We make fun of, in Indiana, we for some reason we hate the freedom of selling alcohol and cold beer on Sundays. We still can't sell cold beer in a grocery store. You can in Ohio. You can't buy a car on a Sunday in this state. I think it's still illegal to take a bath in the wintertime in Indiana. Don't tell my wife because she likes to take them. But it's on the books. And we're one of 8 states that still has straight ticket voting.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge,
archaic.
It's a huge mountain to overcome. But again, if the conversation, we can make the conversation about maybe this campaign changes straight ticket voting. Maybe we can make people enraged enough about what's going on that we change straight ticket voting. So even if I don't win, if I can make monumental change like that, if I can force the legislature to pass next year, I mean, if I'm in by then, they're gonna be moving left and right to try to save this guy. So if I can force the legislature to approve medical marijuana for people with cancer who need it, then that's worth it.
That's one thing that we talked about in our election recap.
Begrudgingly,
yeah.
the state allowed CBD oil.
Yeah.
And it sounds like hemp has got a fair chance.
Yeah, I think hemp's going to go forward this year.
Yeah.
But in the state of the state, we did not hear a single word about medical marijuana or recreational, for that matter. Not a word from the government.
No, not word one. And you know what's really crazy is
even though the people are demanding it.
There's a group out there,
veterans groups, everybody,
called Normal. And David Phipps, I'm actually going to have him on the show, the Rob Kendall show this weekend. They've done a phenomenal job. They've been very professional in their presentation. Weed guy with the weed on his hat is not showing up. These are people in suits and ties who are being respectful, who are being polite. These veterans groups that are showing up. And look, I've never smoked marijuana, and I won't if it's legalized. But how arrogant is that of me to tell a cancer patient or a veteran who served their country, who suffers from immense tragedy and trauma, or some of them with migraines or whatever, especially in a state where we have people dying left and right from opioids. How arrogant is that of our government to say, under a state-licensed doctor supervision, you can't smoke marijuana to help you deal with your pain?
Why do we care to fill these? We're 150 feet from the county jail here in Newcastle, downtown. Why do we want to stress this system and the prosecutor's office, the judge's office, our sheriff's departments, our local police, and the jailers that work there?
Yeah.
Because of simple possession.
I've never met a mean stoner. I mean, honestly, I've met a lot of mean drunks. I mean, I've never met someone that got mean when they got stoned, and I've met a lot of people who are mean when they're drunk. Look, alcohol kills people every single day who choose to get behind a wheel of a car and drive, right? Yeah. But we don't ban alcohol. We tried that, and it's just absolutely egregious that we treat people, this medical marijuana, which could be mean so much to so many people. So if we're able to move things like that forward, then it's kind of worth it, right?
One thing. Whenever the marijuana conversation first started happening, was a lot of social conservatives were saying, well, there's no way to adequately tell if someone is impaired behind the wheel, right? We heard that excuse a lot. So it was like, with alcohol, they can use a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
That's not even an excuse anymore.
No.
We can, yeah. Because they have developed the technology to be able to test if a person has a certain amount of THC in their bloodstream and when it was ingested.
And cold beer sales is another one. There is zero reason that if I can walk into a liquor store, of which Kyle Hupfer, chairman of the Indiana Republican Party, owns 31 of them now, that I shouldn't be able to go into CVS or a BP or Walmart or wherever, in which these people have to ID you anyway, the same way they do at the liquor store. It's not like the rules are different.
Yep.
It is arrogance.
But, hey, at least they let us sell cold cider.
Yeah. I mean,
wine. It's totally different.
I mean, think about when you go into a Speedway, the Speedway in Brownsburg, they have literally rows of cold wine available for purchase, and I can walk right out of it. But a cold beer, oh, no.
Taking it a step too far. The only reason you would want cold beer is so you can drink it on the way home.
So if I can use that statewide platform, because look, we'll smoke them in the debates. I mean, we will mop the floor with whatever goober the Democrats run. I mean, that's going to be a complete and total loser.
My money's on Aaron Dickin.
What when Pete Buttigieg is probably your best option. I mean, that's how weak the Democrats are. So whatever loser they run, and
Pistol Pete's looking for a bigger job, man.
I mean,
he doesn't want to settle for governor.
God, these guys are sick, aren't they? Right? Like, they live in politics. Like, go home, get a real job. Do something with your time that produces for the economy. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's the same thing with Holcomb. Like, the last real job he had was when he was in the Navy. I mean, all these dudes. I mean, it's like, come on, man. I mean, it's disgusting. So
let's talk about Eric Holcomb for a minute and the State of the State address. Nancy Pelosi couldn't keep Eric Holcomb out of our state house to give the State of the State. And
he doesn't have to be invited. I don't think it's not. It's not the same kind of a deal. There was a rescinded invitation for the State of the Union.
It's a very tyrannical system compared to the federal government. If you're a Patreon member, then in your show notes there's the annotated Indy Star, basically.
Sometimes my co-host uses the wrong word. Annotated and annotated.
Oh, that's
same
all right.
thing. You know, we
do it all the time.
We buzz right by it.
Yeah. Whatever.
It's only wrong if you believe it's wrong.
Right.
We buzz right by it, except for whenever I pause the show to talk about it.
except when I point it out for comedy.
Anyway, basically word for word, you have Eric Holcomb's State of the State address, and there were some things I wanted to talk about, especially with you, Rob, because I know how you feel about Mr. Holcomb.
Well, it's not that I feel that way about him. It's about
the way that he's done, not as a person, obviously.
Yeah, I think he's a great person.
The way that he's not delivered.
Yeah, sure.
As a Republican governor. One thing is that he asked the lawmakers to take $150 million out of the state reserve, our little cash reserve that we have there. We have $2 billion in our savings account right now as a state, and
that's sick, right?
Yeah.
And you know they always save up to $2 billion because the law says after $2 billion they got to start giving it back. They got to start giving it back to the people. Yeah.
So he's saying we want to take $150 million out of that, and we want to use it for increased teacher pay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the state of Indiana does not dictate how much teachers are paid. That's up to the local school boards after a certain amount, right?
Do you think he knows that?
I don't know.
And then here is
the education system in Indiana has gotten to be so convoluted. We spend more money on education than anything else.
Was he educated by one of these teachers that he's trying to pay more?
He's a Terre Haute guy. He's probably public educated, I guess. I don't know.
And see, we can say that because my dad's from Terre Haute, so I can say that. And my mother's from Cloverdale, so it's even worse.
It's the way it goes.
So there was some math in this Indy Star article. If that were to be equally distributed, like Bernie Sanders' dream, across every teacher in the state, then it would mean $1,000 more a year. And he said that we needed to compete with other states surrounding us, right? And Indiana's average teacher pay is $50,000. In Illinois, it's like $55,000. $1,000 isn't going to compete.
Yeah, it's really interesting because number one, man, when he said that in that State of the Union or State of the State, I about puked, man. I mean, like I got physically ill because for 2 years when 2 years ago when the gas tax debate was going on, we
had no money available.
Yeah, you absolutely can't touch these reserves because the case we were trying to make is, look, if it's about finding the money, look, I'll volunteer my time. Give me a week. I mean, I've already found $60 million in this project I'm working on waste in government. And so if it's about finding the money, we'll find it. But in the meantime, don't give INDOT a blank check. Man, I used to work with those dudes all the time when I was in local government. They're like the mafia, man. Like those are like soprano guys. They're robber barons. Man, they come into communities and they tell you how you're going to do your project. I mean, they've probably been in Brownsburg, once in their entire life, but they'd look at a map and go, this is where we're putting this road.
That's how we wound up with asphalt sidewalks.
I mean, and I remember sitting in a meeting with them one time.
You will like those asphalt sidewalks. You keep your mouth shut.
That's a path, not a sidewalk.
and I mean, these dudes are sitting there at a table, and you're trying to talk to them about one thing. Like, we're here to meet with you about this.
This is your experience as a town councilman.
Yes, and you're in a room with these guys, and they're like wanting to talk about a cul-de-sac somewhere. Well, that's nice. You want to talk about this life-altering project for your 30,000 residents, but we'd like to talk about this cul-de-sac over here, or this place we'd like to cul-de-sac off. They are the last people you should give a blank check for $1 billion to. Maybe FSSA, maybe DCS. I don't know. But the point is, we shouldn't give them a blank check. So our argument was, okay, let's split the difference. They say they need $1 billion. Let's give them $500 million. Let's have an itemized list of what they do with the money, and then we can judge it, right? We'll see how they do. We've got $2 billion sitting in here. We all know you spend up to the $2 billion just so you don't have to give the money back. So let's take $500 million. Let's give it to them. Let's see how they do with it, and then we'll judge. If they do a great job, if the roads are paved in gold, then we'll talk tax increases.
So the issue that the legislature and the governor had with that was long-term sustainable funding versus, hey, we're going to pull something out for short-term, because you're making a long-term
You mean what they said the issue was,
Right.
or the real issue?
a long-term commitment to spending versus,
What they said the issue was.
versus, hey, we're going to pull this out today. Because that could fix a problem for a year.
Sure.
And they did that Band-Aid for a couple of years. Where, we're going to throw $200 million at that stuff this, in 2016 or 2015.
But hey, look, I thought we were the state that works, right? I thought people are flooding across the border to the state of Indiana. I thought like Illinois, like they were just literally pouring over. Like we're going to have to build a wall to keep Illinois out. So in this budget, they throw $300 million of new money at DCS. The issue was never about roads. It was about creating a revenue source to deal with this Medicaid expansion they'll never get out of because they lied to everybody when they did HIP 2.0.
So you were convinced that they needed a tax increase to fill a budgetary hole that they saw coming 2, 3, 4 years out.
Yeah.
And you think that's the problem.
Sure. Why does the tax increase go up every single year?
And you had
You have no
Brent
idea what you're gonna
Hirschman
need.
on 2 weeks ago, 3
And
weeks
I like
ago.
Hirschman's another guy. I like him.
Former senator, now lobbyist.
He was nice. He almost got in the FCC, and I told him, I said, I'm really glad you didn't get that FCC committee ship, Rod. I might be off the air right now. Now, Hirschman's a nice guy. He's wrong, but he's a nice guy.
So he came on. He was a former state senator, and he came on and basically said, "Rob, you're wrong. We had to do this, but we can't prevent future legislatures from taking this money because." The only thing that can bind a future legislature is a constitutional amendment.
Which he loves the constitutional amendments, all the hunt and fish constitutional amendment, all that stuff. He's all on board for that, but heaven forbid we have a constitutional amendment to protect the taxpayers. So on one hand, 2 years ago, when we're just saying, hey, look, man, for a single mom, I get if you're a legislator for your part-time job, you make $70,000 a year. I get that. If you're David Long, you're the lawyer for Pizza Hut, and your part-time job pays you $70,000. Yeah, what is $200? I'll never forget this. I was at a meeting one time, and I'm not going to name the guy's name, but he's a nice dude, but he's a very wealthy lawmaker.
Chase, just give me a name.
What's up?
We're going to name the guy.
Just pick a lawmaker.
Yeah, just pick a lawmaker.
Mike Pence.
No.
Mike Pence is not wealthy.
We'll say David Young.
Okay, all right.
Sure.
We'll not him, but we'll just put that in there. And this guy's sitting there, and we're talking about the gas tax, and it's a room full of people.
Jerry Torr. I think Jerry Torr's watching. We'll make it
Rand Paul.
Jerry Torr. There's another guy that it's like, get a job, man. Why do you have to be in the State House forever?
Mike Speedy.
Nancy Pelosi.
I'm not going to tell you who the guy's name is because I've been mean enough to him over the years, but because it was a genuine response. Where we're talking about the gas tax, and he goes, well, it's only $200 to $250 a year, and you realize this guy's an attorney. You realize to you, Mr. Attorney, who's probably making $500,000 a year before your part-time state legislator job that pays you $60,000 to $70,000.
Nothing.
$200 is nothing. So why wouldn't you? I just see this on town council all the time.
And it's $200 to $250 more a year for the state,
right?
Not including the amount of times that they have pushed the buck onto the counties,
right,
to raise the county's taxes, and they go, it's only going to be like $100.
Right. So, but then
then they want to make a big deal. Teachers are going to get $1,000.
Yeah, well, but you genuinely realize at that moment you're dealing with a bunch of elitists who, to him, well, it's only $200. He has no idea what it's like to be a single mother and know that $200 difference is the rent or the heat bill or whatever. So you're not dealing with people who see things the same way because their life experience is different.
Chris Guffey,
Exactly
can you tell us
right.
what it's like to be a single mother?
Yeah, I'm a single mother to a cat. He's
so
pretty needy.
we have another shortcoming here from the governor. Last year, whenever we did a rundown of the state address that he did, we pointed out that his big promise was bringing jobs to the state. Mm-hmm. Right? He said that he was going to set a goal right now for 35,000 new job commitments.
Lofty.
Yeah, and we gave credit to the governor at that time. We're like, he's setting out goals that have actual numbers.
Yeah.
Like
Measurable.
Yeah.
yeah. That's a pretty hefty thing to do. and we've only had 31,000, and I'm pretty sure that 29,999 came from whenever Mayor Greg York and Corey Murphy from the Economic Development Corporation in Newcastle went down there to Japan.
Yeah. Well, look, jobs are easy, right? I mean, this is why with this hate crimes thing where he tries to talk about, people aren't choosing us because we don't have a hate crimes law. Like, we're to believe
That's so weird
that
too.
that Amazon didn't choose Indiana because, like, Bezos looks at everything and goes, well, it's really great here, but you don't have a hate crimes law, so sorry.
Yeah, he was like, Indy, check.
Jeff Bezos chose New York for the multi-billion-dollar tax breaks, economic payouts, and a helicopter pad.
I thought that he chose New York because you can murder your baby right before it's born.
Well,
I thought his girlfriend just liked New York better.
His girlfriend probably does.
They picked New York and D.C. or suburban D.C. If Governor Rob is there and you get a proposal or a request for proposal for somebody like Amazon, just exactly how much of the state are you willing to sell out to drag somebody like that in?
Well, that's the answer, right? It's not, and this is what I learned in local government, because we had look, when I took over in Brownsburg, we were a tumbleweed town. We were stagnant growth. We made huge mistakes in the early 2000s, and by the time I left, we were the third fastest growing municipality in the state. We had more than $300 million of private investment during that time. The average home price rose by $65,000 because we cut taxes across the board. I didn't pick winners and losers. We cut property taxes by almost 19%. That's how you do it, right? You get rid of the income tax immediately. That's the first thing we got to do. We got to get rid of the income tax. We got to stop punishing people for doing well.
But we have a state government right now that's saying, hey, every local county government you have, you need to raise your income taxes to pay for a new jail.
Right, absolutely.
There are 90 counties in Indiana that say that they need to pay for a new jail because of the policy of the state of Indiana, and the only tool they've given them is said, you can raise your income tax.
Well, the first thing we're going to do, like I said, the number one thing you could do to spark growth in Indiana is not giveaways to companies. The local governments have the ability to do that through tax abatements or economic development incentives, and that's a Carmel decision, that's a Brownsburg decision, that's a Greenfield, that's a Newcastle decision. That's a decision for those residents. We shouldn't be giving away money. We should make it a fair playing field. It's like when they came out and said, "Well, we're going to exempt military pensions, income tax on military pensions." Okay, I love the military, but let's exempt everyone's. Why are we bad people because we work in the private sector? Where's my giveaway? And I don't want to give away. I want everybody to be rich. I want everybody to be wealthy.
I want everybody to have a tax abatement.
Yeah, I want Jeff Bezos to actually move here because he's not paying income taxes. So I don't think we should be in the business of picking winners and losers. We should create, like we did in Brownsburg, an economic playing field in which everybody wants to be here because it's fair and prosperous for everyone.
Basically,
didn't Brownsburg just win because of geography? It's like you're so close to the airport in 465. Come on, Rob, admit it.
Yeah, that was it, man.
Didn't you just get lucky being born in Brownsburg with that silver spoon or that bronze spoon?
You know, my favorite thing they call me on the radio is Brownsburg's favorite son. You know, I mean, there's nothing better than being called Brownsburg's favorite son.
It's that Brownsburg privilege.
Government is not hard when you break it down, right? It's a math equation. It's money in versus money out. And the more money you give people, the more people are going to want to be wherever, and the more they'll spend. And it's time we stop punishing wealth and prosperity and people doing well. And the number one thing I think we could do in this state to benefit everyone is get rid of the income tax. Make prosperous, wealthy people want to be here. They'll set up their businesses here. And then, you know, things like abatements become local decisions for those communities. But let's make it fair for everyone. Let's let everyone benefit.
That all sounds really good, but how do you feel about the wind farms?
So that is the meltdown issue for our community.
Yes, I'm aware.
Right? I'm sure that they are for other, Tipton County, Howard County.
How many times you get asked that when you were knocking on doors for council?
Sadly, I didn't. Sadly, the people at the doors didn't care as much. They asked me about Trump. Right? I got asked about national issues when I knock on doors. But when I talk to people at the county courthouse and at functions among the politically active people, when the wind issue was radioactive to anybody that was an incumbent or viewed as an incumbent.
I've always viewed it,
and that's a big issue for people in rural Indiana right now.
I've always viewed it that it's your property. As long as you're not harming someone else, do as you please. But again, this picking winners and losers stuff fundamentally does not work. It does not work. It's subsidizing behavior. And if you're not harming me, it comes back to that whole medical marijuana thing. Like, what do I care? It's sports betting the same way. If you want to go to a casino and bet on sports, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you want to.
Why is that even an issue?
There's so many things that are issues that don't need to be issues. And being able to bring that argument to the forefront, I think this income tax thing would really resonate with people. Much
I agree.
Like, inventory tax with Daniels and things of that nature, because people see, look, we want a balanced playing field. We want a government that works for everyone, not just the wealthy, not just the donor class, not just the lobbyists. We want a government that works for everyone.
So your goal is to not to attack property taxes, but it's income taxes. That's the one that you're most concerned about?
I think I took poll. I'm doing polling. I don't have the big money for polling. I don't have the $20,000 money. I'm doing the Facebook polling right now. And it seemed like most people were more into this idea of having income taxes removed.
Which is the Florida and Tennessee model.
Right, exactly. Because one thing you're up against, and it's amazing the people I talk to, and you have to explain this to them, there's a lot of people who rent. You'd ask them the question, and you'd say, would you rather have the property tax repealed or the income tax? Well, income tax, because I don't pay property tax. And then you'd say, yeah, you do. But trying to make that argument to people, income tax is really simple.
It's visible.
Yeah, it is.
You can see it coming off your check. The property tax, if you rent, you have no clue that you're paying twice the property tax as if you own your house.
And the difference is, when people ask me how I'm going to pay for stuff, I got no problem talking about things that I'll cut. And I'm going to do a whole Where'd Your Money Go video next week on things that are in our Indiana budget. I think I can easily find the $560 million. Two things I do, and I will tell you absolutely, I would not sign a budget that doesn't do this. Now, again, they could override a veto. I would not sign a budget that does not repeal the gas tax, and I would not sign a budget that doesn't repeal the income tax immediately. And if they want to override the veto and they want to be on that side, then that's on them.
So Mike Broyles is in our chat. He's watching live, and he's the
Hi, Mike.
He's on the redevelopment commission for our area, for our county. And he wants to know, in Brownsburg, how did you replace that money in the budget? Because obviously all dollars belong to the county before they belong to the individual. So how did you replace the tax cuts? You cut taxes, so you did with less. How did you replace that?
Well, we didn't do with less. It spurred growth. It spurred immense growth. I mean, the investment in the community grew by $300 million. Much of it was commercial.
So it created new property tax revenue.
Yeah, and we were very. I'm glad he's on the redevelopment commission. Those are the unsung. Those are the park board guys. Those park board guys are great too. But redevelopment commissions are unsung heroes. We very effectively used our tax increment finance district. Not like Jim Brainerd and Carmel. We didn't build reflective pools or palladiums. We used it to build infrastructure. The Ronald Reagan. We did the overhaul of downtown Brownsburg with it. On what was 267, now Green Street. We used it very effectively.
It's not Rob Kendall Avenue?
Man,
what the hell's wrong with your town?
God, I would love that. That'd be great. Two things I want to do before I die. I have a street named after me and win a Sagamore. So,
well, if you just if you stay in good graces with the state party, I'm sure at some point some future governor will give you the Sagamore. Won't be Holcomb, but maybe someday.
So we used the tax increment finance district to create infrastructure, which created new revenue. And one of the cool things, because tax increment finance districts get such a bad rap because most of our dummy legislators don't understand how it works, is we had a whole bunch of economic development that came from a road built by a TIF because we expanded our TIF through the right-of-way. The growth wasn't in the TIF. So all that growth, hundreds of millions of dollars of economic commercial growth, went to all the entities, but we used the TIF money to build that road that created the growth and put the water lines and the sewer lines, et cetera, in there. So you got to be creative. This is not rocket science. It's reading. You know it. You go through it. You've had to go through meeting minutes and dealing with public policy. You just gotta put your time in. You got to work. You got to read. You got to understand.
So Rob, being a political pundit for the state of Indiana,
is that what I am?
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing I've been called.
Pays the bills.
Anyway, the State of the State address has marked that time in the legislative session where bills are being sent to committees, they're dying, being voted on, have been voted on. I want to know what some bills are that have really piqued your interest this year.
Well, first of all, I think the State of the State, I hate the fact that it's very hard to get into the State of the State. Because that's it becomes an address for the lawmakers, and it's really an address for the people. It's the state of our state. So I'd certainly move the state of the state if I were the governor. I'd put it somewhere where the public could get in. I mean, you can't get a ticket to the state of the state.
Lucas
right?
Oil State.
I don't know if we could get that many people in there. By the way, you guys would all be up in the big box. You guys would all be sitting up there in the box, and I'd point to the Boss Hog of Liberty.
Listen, someday
with
when
free beers that are paid for out of the gas tax.
And they'd be cold, and we'd buy them at a BP for the event.
Listen, my day job, man, that gas tax, I can't complain. I'm an insider. I don't know.
So would be the first thing I'd do about State of the State is I'd put it somewhere where the people could come because it's for the people. It's not for the lawmakers. So I'd do that. There's going to be some interesting things coming down the line. I think it's going to be next year. I don't think it's going to be this year because we're not going to get medical marijuana. And he's going to pay the price for that. He's going to pay a big price for that. David Phipps and the normal crowd have been very optimistic that they were going to get something this year, and they've been supportive and hoping to negotiate with the governor. But he treated them like crap.
But he has said it is not happening, and at this point, now they're mad and they're going to get active.
And Phipps is a good close personal friend, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, Phipps is the guy that would actually go knock on doors in 92 counties. I mean,
the governor even went so far as to say it's not even something I'm willing to consider.
Yeah, it's so bad when people are dying. People with Lou Gehrig's disease.
How arrogant?
I am
how
shocked.
Arrogant is that?
I am shocked at the power that the legislature seizes to the governor's office.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter what the governor says.
Yeah,
it's 51 votes in the General Assembly and 26 in the House. 51 in the House and 26 in the Senate, rather.
Yep.
And it passes twice. You override a governor's veto. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's really weird how it's tribalism, right? I mean, we're not going to go against our guy, but he's wrong.
Well,
right?
the governor appoints the state chairman, and they're afraid of a primary. so the Bob Cherries and the Tom Saunders and the rest of the General Assembly, the Randy Frys, those guys. The Jim Lucases, they have a state chairman that can encourage somebody else to run against them, and then it's fear.
And this is what I've told some people who have asked. I said, if I did this, and that's still a huge, giant, all capital letters, if. I don't want to...
You filed no exploratory committee. There's nothing open.
No.
There's nowhere to contribute to Rob yet.
There is no exploratory committee. There's no nothing. I'm just listening to people, and I'm willing to hear them.
If you send a check to 1102 Ray Street...
Yeah, if you just give it to Boss Hog of Liberty and note that it was this interview today... The libertarians, one of the things I've told some people is, look, the libertarians are going to have to step up because this will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because we will press, and we will press every day, and we will work hard, and we will hit the doors the way the Republicans and Democrats do. We will have the media exposure. When I beat the referendum in Brownsburg, we got outspent $100,000 to $3,000 when you factored in the public money they used pretty much illegally and the PAC money to do that. We got to spend on $100,000 to $3,000. They had 900 school employees. We had 10 of us. We beat them. We won. We did it through hard work.
The local schools wanted to raise taxes to pay for a football field or a school building. What they want?
They said it was kids were going to die in the hallways of an active shooter. But we beat them, right? Because it was just, we're going to go hit all these doors. And we're going to talk to everybody. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. We're going to get our signs out. We're going to get signs in yards. And the Libertarian Party would have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I believe we could build this party for a generation to start getting competitive in these state Senate races, in these state House races, in these congressional races, in these city council races, in these mayoral races, to where we have a viable third party. The Libertarians should make the Democrats obsolete as bad as the Democrats are because the Libertarians agree with Democrats on a whole bunch of social issues.
So somebody in the chat, we'll wrap this segment up with this question. Who's your campaign dream team? You've been meeting with all these libertarians. What do you need to have? What pieces have to fall in place? What people have to be on board with you for this to work? For you to decide you're doing this.
Well, obviously, the Boss Hog of Liberty team would be right up there at the top.
We got Henry County covered for you, man.
Perfect. We're good. We're there. I think I can do Hendricks. You guys do Henry. We'll be fine. We'll figure out the rest of it.
90 to go.
It's going to be, and this will be a new thing for me. Could I figure out how to raise $1 million? Could I figure out really realistically how to do that? Because you've got to anticipate that you're not going to ever fundraise what you think you're going to fundraise. So could I realistically raise $1 million? Because that gets you on TV. That enables you to do mailers. That gets signs in all the yards. And it's going to be everyone. It's not an individual that would make a difference. It's going to be every libertarian deciding we're going to be the little engine that could. We're going to shock the world, and we're going to unite around a cause. Not around me if I do it. whoever it is this next time has got to step up and do it. Whether it's, Mark Rutherford or whoever ends up running on the Libertarian side has got to step up and do this because the Republicans are now out of control. So it's going to be, do we unite? We as a collective party in all 92 counties across the fruited plain. I've got some views that are a little unorthodox for the Libertarian Party. We can't have infighting.
We're not allowed to have anybody that has a MAGA hat.
Have you come out against the wall yet? Because libertarians are generally for open borders and freedom.
Look, and this is what I told somebody the other day.
You've got a little bit of a mega problem.
There's 150,000 people who voted for Donald Trump who didn't vote for Eric Holcomb. Those people should all be our clients. We got to find those people and we got to talk to them. Now, it doesn't mean that you got to come out and endorse Trump for president, but it also doesn't mean you can't be out spewing venom when the majority of the people in this state voted for the guy. Let's find areas we agree and we can talk about those. There's areas we disagree. Look, I disagree with Trump on the spending. I think the spending's ridiculous and still totally out of control. I'm not sure he's handling the shutdown the right way. If I were Trump, I'd have declared the national emergency, said the Mayflower's headed to the border, like when the Colts moved in the middle of the night. We're not reopening the government until the wall's built, and that's how we're going to pay for it.
But if you built a wall, would it be a regular wall or would it have slots in it?
It would be whatever is the most economical way to secure the country. The wall. I think the wall.
Would you
is
put the DOT in charge of it?
Oh no, I would absolutely not.
You'd hire David Barton and the wall builders.
I'd put you guys in charge of it.
How long do you think the government shutdown's going to last?
I hope it goes on indefinitely. I mean, I think people are starting to see. Have you guys been affected at all?
I've got a cousin in the Coast Guard that's pretty upset.
Okay,
but he's not getting his check.
And those people, it's not fair to make deals with people and not pay them, right? But I work in radio, and I've been blown out of radio stations all the time for all sorts of reasons. Some my fault, some not. Snoop Dogg never made a video for me. Nancy Pelosi never cried on the House floor for me. That is a fact of life, and government workers in the federal level should not be exempt from market forces. If you really care about this and you're a federal government worker, I feel for you. Call Nancy Pelosi. Call Chuck Schumer. This is not Donald Trump's fault. We're talking about $5.7 billion of a country that regularly not only spends all of its money, but $1.3 trillion more. Suddenly the Democrats are very concerned about wasteful spending. Really? We're talking about 115 miles of repairing existing wall. So that's things these two goobers have already voted for.
Well, that was, you just hit on the detail that I like to bring up the most. This is not building new sections of wall.
Yeah.
It's repairing existing fencing that was already voted on whenever there was a Democrat in the White House.
Is building a wall all the way across the southern border realistic or practical? Probably not.
Yes, it is. We're locking them out.
We are naive to pretend that we don't have a problem and that there are really bad people that are getting into this country that are doing immense danger. So why don't we work together to find ways to secure the areas that do need to be secured? Some areas can be done with foot patrol and with drones and things like that. Okay, fine. But we're insulting people by acting like, we're for border for security, but a wall can't be any part of it. Come on. A wall doesn't have to be the whole part, and it's not the whole answer.
Be honest with yourself. If you are fine with having open sections of the border, say you're fine with having open sections of the border. Like, well, why are you playing this weird game with yourselves?
And that'll real quick. That'll become the issue in the Democrat debates. I think this year for president or next year will be: do you believe in a border? Do you believe in a country anymore?
Yeah. And the Democrat debates are going to be really interesting.
We should do watch-alongs.
Especially we'll host watch parties, especially to see, because there's going to be like 20 of them, and they're all just going to eat each other alive.
And it's
before they even get to the debate stage with Donald Trump.
It's how liberal can you go? And the problem for the Democrats is you've got these people green behind the ears like Beto and Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, who these dudes like Biden and Bernie Sanders have one foot in the grave and another foot on a banana peel. Yep. This is it for them. They will die before they let these young people take it out for them, and they're going to get super nasty. They're going to tear these novices apart. I can't wait.
I want to hear some nicknames.
It's so early. It's so early. They're all announcing. In the last month, we've had there's probably eight Democrats running already.
It's sick, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
even
surreal.
an Indiana native. All right, so let's
Buttigieg. I learned how to pronounce it.
By the way, can you guys think of a more unqualified person than Pete Buttigieg?
Listen, man.
Chase Peyton.
Chase isn't old enough yet.
But
I am for the
honestly,
wall.
though,
Pete did
honestly,
a Facebook
though,
Live with
with
Zuckerberg
lots.
himself. So when he says something wrong and he gets zucked, I don't know how he's going to.
I made this argument with somebody yesterday, and most of the time people don't know when I'm kidding or not. But I said, look, Brownsburg far outpassed South Bend from 2012 to 2015. So by the Pete Buttigieg standard, Rob Kendall's qualified to run for president. More qualified than him.
But you're not going to primary the God Emperor.
No. I'm not. I'm hanging out with you guys now.
Honestly, though, do you
Have you
think
joined the
Donald,
party yet? Have you? Come on.
I'm not. I told you we're still in
We're
the
still-
courting phase.
we're still dating.
Nobody's even giving me flowers
Nobody's
yet.
swiped right.
I need ice cream. I need a trip to the Dairy Queen. I'm going to need some flowers. It's Valentine's Day is coming up. Maybe one of those gold dipped roses or something might be nice.
Do you
We
think
can definitely
Donald
do
Trump
that.
is more qualified than Pete Buttigieg?
Yeah, absolutely. Donald,
How?
because he was very successful in the private sector. I mean, a lot of Trump is showmanship, but he built stuff. He paid people. He made companies. He negotiated
for
across the world.
The first,
but Pete saved the
200
RV industry,
the first 200
and Rudy's
years
for him.
His wife's probably hotter too. Just saying.
Trump's, right?
Just saying.
That's true,
The
though.
ultimate trump card. Whose wife's
I
hotter?
don't know if
Do you know?
Chase over here knows who Pete is.
I don't know who he is.
Oh,
I've heard his name
Pete,
as much.
Pete Buttigieg. That's how you pronounce it.
Buttigieg.
I thought it was
He will
judge.
never have a
I
wife.
thought it was supposed to be pronounced Buddha.
He's already
Judge.
married, but it's
like a U.
he's
he joins the company of
Oh,
men.
he's gay, isn't
he's
he?
the first.
Oh no. That's okay. All right. Well, his wife's definitely hotter.
Yeah.
But for the first 200 years of our country, the way to become president was you joined the military, you got some education, you became.
I'm
involved
sure his
in-
husband's fantastic too, though.
You became not
Not
gay.
that there's
Chase.
anything wrong with it.
Of course not.
Chase's nickname is.
I had to. That's how bad our world is now. I put on Facebook the other day. Can any person give me one reason Pete Buttigieg is qualified to be president other than he's gay? And then I had to put in parentheses, not that there's anything wrong with that. That's the world we live in now.
We have Buttigieg, and Buttigieg.
Edge.
Yeah, we'll just call him not going to be elected. We'll go from there.
And I'll be honest, I have no idea.
There
I know we have the Buddha right.
There are a lot of people that run for office, and they want their goal when they, somebody like him. He ran for national chair of the Democrat Party, and it was to get the name
that's right,
ID.
he did.
And he dropped out before the actual vote was taken, so we don't know how he was going to end. But he got the national ID, and then this is probably not so that he can seriously be elected president.
Yeah.
It's not likely. But could he be the Undersecretary of Labor? Maybe.
Can you imagine the actual arrogance, and I say this for all these people that do this, involved in thinking you're the most qualified person to run America?
Isn't it weird?
I mean,
It's such
The
a weird
presidency
thing.
is way too strong, Rob.
I
like
mean-
it shouldn't be who runs America. It should be who's in charge of the tiny little
most-
federal government,
Yeah.
so that
You know-
guys like Rob Kendall can run the state
hey,
of Indiana.
I'm all for it, man.
You know,
I mean,
I really think I'd be great at being the most powerful man in the free world.
yeah. I mean, think
I'd
about.
nuke so many people.
Chase has no
I
political
would,
career.
and I'd
after this.
deport all of you guys.
Oh man!
Oh,
all
that's
right,
funny.
final round or final topic here that we had the main high level story. We're waving at producer Chris, who's taking a picture for the internet.
God, he's a patron
You're
saint,
supposed
isn't
he
he?
keep
is.
going.
You have no idea. I don't know what you do for the chicks on the right.
Nothing.
But
I do the
Chris-
speed round.
Chris grabs us a beer. He takes our picture. He gets here early. He says, "Do you guys need anything?"
God, it's amazing.
It's I don't know. I'm so happy I found him in a park wandering.
It's like a lost child.
Like I tell people this all the time because, as you know, Boss Hog, every time whether it's We Are Libertarians or the Boss Hog of Liberty, I make a sizable cash donation.
We love it.
To the podcast, which I'll be doing again this time. But I tell people these things are so important because you guys are basically, you're giving of your time to be here, right? I mean, it's the best entertainment you'll possibly get. And it's why it's so important for people to support it because look at how the fun you guys are having.
And we appreciate the great ratings you provide us, Rob.
That's how I roll, man.
It's a nice wash my back, wash yours. All right. So I got published a couple times this week. I did have a minor. I got so excited. We had this story, the Covington Catholic kids and the protests
Those
at
poor
the
kids.
on the mall. They showed up on a school field trip and they wound up in the news. I spent the whole weekend watching this story and not understanding because it didn't wash, didn't check out. The narrative that we were given Friday night, Saturday morning into Sunday morning just did not make sense.
Right.
Of these kids picking a fight. But the media freaked out, and 85 to 90% of the people out there immediately reacted. And I took my time and I said, this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Kept telling Sarah all weekend. We were snowed in. We had a huge snowstorm that was supposed to hit the Midwest, so everybody's batting down the hatches, and we were just stuck at home, and I think people were just looking for outrage. So they saw this story, they set a narrative, and they said, this is what it's going to be. And it took me all weekend to process it. I finally wrote something, and I sent it off to Spangle, and he put it up on We Are Libertarians. Then I realized I used there, and they're wrong. So Spangle posted it, and I've caught crap for the thing being posted wrong over there, but I edited it by the time it went up on the Boss Hog page and in the Courier Times locally. But it basically was an article I wrote saying, we got to take a minute. You were given 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Before you react to a story, call time out and listen and have a conversation with the other side and understand what's going on. So a Catholic kid in a mega hat is in a video or a picture with a Native American. It's become this national phenomenon in the last weekend, the last 4 days, I guess, from last Saturday until now. What do you think's going on? Well, this is your chance for commentary because it's been the national story.
It's fascinating how we all get into our own norms, right? Like whatever our own norms are become the reality, and it's really hard to get outside of our own norms and talk to people that you disagree with and understand their position. And one of the cool things about being in elected office was every second and fourth Thursday of the month for 4 years, 88 meetings. We had the most open, transparent government probably in the state. People could come twice, citizen comments at the beginning and the end, and you pretty much say whatever you wanted. You had 3 minutes because we got to be respectful of everybody, but you just don't be profane. You can say whatever you want about me. I was called a rapist, a Hitler, or whatever, but I got to learn a lot about people. I got to learn why people are drawn to certain things, why they react certain ways, and learning about people helps you educate them and move them in a certain direction. One of the first things I did in Brownsburg was involving your redevelopment commission listener there will know this. We cut the pass-through through the TIF district, and the school corporation got mad, and they sent 50 bus drivers into town hall and convinced them they were all going to be fired. And I was probably 3 months into the job in this because we were going to build the Ronald Reagan from Avon to Brownsburg, and we needed that money to do that. And they were so sneaky and underhanded about it that they had these bus drivers, women, people had been there 40 years, crying at town hall. And you realize that these people in their world, this is a reality. Like, it has been convinced to them that this is the reality of what's going to happen. Now, of course, that didn't happen. Nobody lost their job. And every time I see the Brownsburg School Corporation hiring bus drivers sign, I snap a picture of it and keep it for the record. But you realize the people on the other side, the left side, they're crazy, but they're being manipulated. Much of it is mind manipulation into thinking, like, what has changed? If you're a woman, what has changed under Trump? Like abortion is still legal? Like, women are still doing well in the workplace? Like, what this Women's March, what are you marching for? Like, what has changed? If you're an African American, what has changed? If you're a Hispanic American, what has changed? If you're a legal citizen of this country, what has changed? Nothing has changed. But in these people's minds,
we're in a whole lot more debt than we were.
Well, we are, but I'm saying for the average person, nothing is different. Nothing is changing for you.
We're still dropping bombs on people that never did anything.
Hey, I'm all for getting out of Syria. I think that's a tremendous move. But
the argument on the other side would be that Donald Trump and his rhetoric has made more people who were like cockroaches hiding from the light more brave.
But what does that mean?
Like basically the Unite the Right rally.
Okay.
Right? So you have a bunch of...
What rhetoric, though? Like, what Make America Great Again?
Listen, man, I don't know. I'm just telling you what... I'm just telling you what I've heard. And like you said, with the Make America Great Again, how in the hell did a Make America Great Again slogan and a red hat become such a divisive issue to where we have celebrities tweeting that it's the white hood of the 21st century? people who are paid to give out professional opinions on things are now equating it to the KKK. Kanye West wears a MAGA hat.
Have you been to Washington lately? It's a tourist item.
Yeah.
Right? So these kids are at the end of their vacation. Their student trip to Washington DC. They're getting on the bus in 20 minutes. So they just bought a hat from a street vendor. So I can guarantee you, at 17 years old, and I'm going to D.C., I'm buying a hat.
Yeah. And
I'm not going to put it in my backpack. I'm going to put the damn thing on.
The hat's pretty lit af.
And I'm standing there.
It's red.
I've had one on my head.
It is dope.
I've had one on my head one time. It was it was at Blackacre, and Rob gave it to me to wear for a picture. It exists.
Can I say the big I word?
What's that?
I'm on the Indian guy's side. Okay.
Indian? That is the new PC term for Native American is now Native Indian.
Okay, well, I'm on the Indian guy's
American
side
because they are not. American.
I saw that kid. He had a punchable face. Okay, I'd definitely punch that kid in the face if he was 18.
Here's the thing: everyone else looked at that picture and they thought, "Wow, what a smug little jerk." I looked at that picture and I thought, I've made that smile. That is the face of the most awkward situation I've ever been.
I immediately thought, "What is Joey Logano protesting?" That was my first thought.
I mean, look, but so here's where the conversation becomes. Those people, that dude, Nathan Phillips, he's an insane radical. Okay, he's invested in an outcome.
For like 35 years he's been doing this.
The dudes that started it, the crazy radical Hebrew guys, they're invested in an outcome. You're not touching those people. They are crazy lunatics. But the conversation for America is for the rational person in the middle who doesn't identify with a political party. They might consider themselves maybe a moderate Democrat or a moderate Republican or an independent. That's who you're talking to now, right? That's how the Republic's going to be won and lost. 60% of the country is completely sold one way or another. And I feel terrible for these kids because when it was Parkland, you can't criticize David Hogg. Well, but wait, he's an activist and is attacking Dana Lash, which she probably deserves on some level to be attacked. But she's verbally, I meant verbally, she's verbally being,
Well, there went Rob's career. It's all over.
She's verbally being attacked by this kid, but you can't criticize him back because he's just a student. Well, these kids weren't criticizing anyone. The Sandman kid is literally sitting there, and they take one snippet of video, and from the beginning of the video, it's like he's just smirking at the guy. Who cares?
It's nervous, right? He's like, "What in the world is going on?"
And thankfully, the story has.
There's an old dude banging a drum in your face, and there's like 6 feet of room beside you where he could just walk around.
And you remember when Bush ran for the second time, though, and remember Dan Rather made up that story, and he knew it. It came out later. He knew he was making up that story about the National Guard, but the hatred and the investment in the political ideology is so strong. Well, I don't care because I'm invested in a specific
narrative.
Outcome, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at now. You can't trust the media except Rob Kendall. You can't, and Boss Hog of Liberty. You can't believe anything you hear. You have to do the research for yourself. Bongino tweeted something like that the other day about it. That journalism, as we know it, is dead, and we're now our own investigators. You have to investigate everything.
I have 2 things on this that I want to say really quick. And number one is that Glenn Beck with The Blaze has got an excellent video describing the timeline of events and narrating.
The first 20 minutes are great. The last 2 minutes are a bit of a...
the last 2 minutes...
Does it get preachy?
The last 2 minutes are a call to arms.
Yeah.
The last 2 minutes are amazing.
Did he sell you some gold at the end of it?
Is it as good as the Frank Underwood video?
The last 2 minutes...
I don't know what happened to Glenn Beck. I haven't seen Glenn in like 5 years, but Mr. Time caught up to Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he looks better.
Well,
is he still really fat?
No, he's not really fat. He's
because
really gray.
He got really fat for a while.
He doesn't have the Coke bottle glasses anymore, but man, he went gray.
But he looks more wise now. Like he looks like a like the
Like a wizard?
archetype of a grandfather that I could just listen to and get advice from. And then at the very end, whenever he says, "Not taking a stand is taking a stand," and I was like,
Freedom. You're
"Down with the libs!" And my second thing would be in a world where Donald Trump is the president and he's doing press briefings and he's looking at the media and he keeps going, "You are fake news," and he keeps yelling at them and belittling them and berating them. If you are the fake news, why would you try to not be like? Wouldn't you try to not be
news?
fake?
Yeah,
like,
faker news.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
I
point.
feel like you should, if you have the president of the United States calling you fake news over and over again, you would be like, we gotta make sure that we are not fake news.
Yeah.
Prove him wrong. And they're like, nah.
The country is mortally divided. I asked Chris Spangle today for the Sunday show if he thought we were on the verge of a civil war, and he didn't think we were. I think we're getting there. I think the hate is so immense.
We're divided.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ready to pick up arms.
I don't
but
know.
I'm
we're
not saying
divided.
I'm not saying tomorrow that they're going to fire the first shot, but there is immense hate, and I really do worry about my president. And look, I didn't like Obama, but he won the election, and so I went about my daily life of advocating for good public policy.
Yeah,
But
it's a real weird thing that's happening.
I think they might be a little bit too lazy for all that.
And I mean, Trump certainly does not help it with the way that he tweets and the way he talks.
Spangle's
But
been
it's
on
like,
your weekend show like 4 times. Dakota Davis is at 0 invitations.
well,
Rob.
you're publicly invited.
What the hell?
You're publicly invited.
Plus, one side doesn't like guns, so I don't know how that'd really work
This
out.
is I think that the most appropriate term would be it's a cold civil war.
Yeah, I mean, the anger and
We're
hate.
just doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the pressure cooker is boiling, and I don't know what it's boiling over. I mean, are you mad about tax reform? Are you that upset about tax? I mean, what has really happened
Yeah.
in the Trump presidency? I
True.
think tax reform, some government regulations have been repealed.
I've seen, and
I don't know what else.
you know, and the thing is, I see a lot
I'm
of.
happy with tax reform, but wasn't there supposed to be some spending cuts along the way?
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Which is why we got to start getting some libertarians elected to the United States Congress.
Yeah,
Because the
and,
Republicans
you know,
aren't going to do it.
One of the biggest problems is there legitimately is a lot of fake news.
Yeah,
Like-
sure there is.
There's just so much of it.
You got to do your homework every single day, and that's why people don't, because it's hard.
All right, we need to start wrapping this up. We promised 2 things to our listeners tonight, other than Rob and the statewide issues. Rob, this is Chase over here. He doesn't say much.
Nice to meet you, Rob.
We've
We've engaged on the net before.
I don't know politics good.
Chase. Chase is generally on the sports desk.
Yeah,
And,
man.
so-
It's the Super Bowl.
So we're going to get together. We're going to have Super Bowl Sunday. A little
I
over a
have
week.
2 things. I have a story to tell, and I have the Super Bowl prediction.
So you're hunting and sports with Chase.
Yes.
You're the resident hunter.
All right, we'll do sports first.
All right.
Patriots, Rams. Who you got, Jer?
Oh, please tell me the Rams win.
Patriots.
For the love of God, give me the Rams.
Patriots.
You got the Patriots,
Yeah,
Dakota? What
easy.
about you,
I
Rob?
would take the Patriots.
What about you, young Chris?
Oh man, it's Patriots all the way, man.
This will be 5 rings.
5 rings.
Catching
one,
up, they're catching
one for
up
each
to
finger.
the Saints.
All I'm saying is one more, the Infinity Gauntlet.
Catching up with the Saints.
Okay, Jer, I have a
Saints
question
have
to
6.
ask you.
What?
I have a question.
You're drunk.
They have
If you-
6.
As a
They
Colts
don't.
fan,
They've
How
got-
many do they have?
The Saints have 1.
What are you talking about?
The
Really?
Steelers and Niners have a bunch.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Steelers.
Yeah. Black,
close enough.
Those black
Steelers
teams.
have
Close enough.
6. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Jared. As a Colts fan, I know you never want to see the Patriots win. But in the back of your mind, you have to think, man, if Tom Brady gets this win, does he retire? Don't you want to see him retire?
He's a cheater.
It's got to go
Prove
out
it.
on
He's an
top.
old
He's still the
cheater.
GOAT. He's still the best of
Prove
all
it, Jeremiah.
time.
He's the GOAT who throws 4 yards at a time and has Wes Welker run for touchdown.
Well, then everyone should.
Nobody knew
he's-
who Wes
and he's got
Welker was
Rob
before he got
Gronkowski.
there.
If that's true, then everyone should throw 4 yards at a time because it wins you championships.
Yeah. Gives you 5 rings.
5. 1 for each finger. All right. So I picked the Patriots.
Yeah,
I was
me too.
almost 100% right on my Super Bowl predictions. I was 50%. I got screwed over by the. I was screwed over by the refs. The Saints got screwed over. That was bad. So I feel bad for him, but my team missed a field goal to win it.
Give me Goff and the Rams. I'll take the Rams.
And not gonna happen.
Give me the Rams.
Not gonna happen. So I
love the Los Angeles, St. Louis, Los Angeles Rams.
I finally beat the streak
of Cleveland.
I ended the streak of not killing a deer. You
hadn't killed one since you were a teenager.
I finally killed a deer
with a gun or an automobile.
Did you have a permit for this deer that you took? You harvested?
I did not.
This was with the weapon.
It was killed with a gun.
Well, sort of. It can be used as a weapon.
No, it was killed with a gun, right?
What?
Found?
No, I kind of killed a deer.
Found on road dead. Ford.
I went to see the movie Glass this Tuesday.
Was it good?
I texted you. My wife was busy doing yoga or something, and I said, "Hey, buddy, you want to hang out with me on Tuesday night?" He says, "No, I've got to take Katie to a movie."
I promised her to take her to the movie Glass. We watched the movie Split last year. It was pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then we heard it was a sequel of Split and Unbreakable. We had never seen Unbreakable, so we watched it Sunday. It was good, too. So we were like, all right, we got to go see the Glass movie. So we went to see it. It was all right. It wasn't what I expected.
Where'd you go?
Oh, really?
Muncie.
So we don't have a movie theater.
Was
movie theater in
Patricia
Newcastle
there?
Right now.
Patricia was there. I love that guy, dude.
He's such a good
when
actor.
he does the little kid, man, it's so funny.
Anyway.
But it was a decent movie, and then I dropped the old ball and chain off, you know, and I started on my way home, and I always take the back road because I don't like stopping on all the stoplights on Broad Street. And I've seen deer on this road a couple times, 103, you know, but I've never.
It's public hunting ground, surrounded.
You're in the Wilbur Wright Fish and Wildlife
I've never
area.
came close to hitting one though. I've never came close to hitting one. And I see this deer out of the corner of my eye on my right side, and it's right on the side of the road. Well, it's off on the woods on the side of the road, facing the road. I'm like, oh no. So I'm going like 60 miles, and I start to slow down. I'm probably at, 45 miles now, and it turns around to go into the woods. I'm like, all right, I'm in the clear. So I speed up, and as soon as I speed up, it runs right out in front of me. I nail this thing, and I sort of killed it.
Did your car survive?
My car, I drove it here.
You're like Joe Diffie. You're a pickup man.
Yes, I drive a Ford F-150. Ford guy, not really. I drive anything. If someone wants to buy me a different truck, I'll drive it.
What, did you kill it?
Yeah, sort of. So,
Sort of.
Did you get out and have to strangle it?
It didn't kill my car. It just busted the grill up so far. I don't know if something else has happened to it, but it's been driving fine. Hopefully there's no leaks.
So
as
I
far
hit
as
one.
I know.
It's been 2 years ago now, January 2017, on 40, heading to Cascade High School, and it caved in everything, and it smashed the radiator. My father-in-law, Jim, by the way, hello to my wife, Haley, lovely wife, Haley.
Yeah, she's been watching. She said that a car is your weapon of choice.
and he put the car back together. Like, it's like
now
caved in.
you have a very nice white import.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a Lexus, but it had so many miles on it that it wasn't worth having, like, other than the state mandated insurance. Like, it was only worth like $3,000 or $4,000. So I didn't have the
for white trash rates you can get online.
But my father-in-law, he was super talented. Like, he put this car back together. I mean, it's still caved in on the side, but it runs great for 2 years now. 2 years. It's incredible.
So
your car you have hope.
I do have hope. I think it's just the grill, so I'm going to try to do it on my own. I might use insurance if there is a leak in the radiator
means
or
is
something.
That he's just going to keep driving it until something happens.
Yeah,
until I hit another deer.
There's no grill there to protect the.
So it's
true.
So what happens? Did you get to keep the meat? Have you spent a week butchering a deer?
I hit it, and I probably hit in the best spot.
Is that it up on the wall up there?
Yes, that's it. It didn't even bust one of my
Mac.
headlights.
That's a Facebook poll. That's Mac.
I hit it right in the middle. It did like 2 flips, and I'm like, oh, this thing's dead. It lands in the other lane, and then I immediately stopped, and I looked to my left, and this thing's just staring back at me. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not dead.
So you back over it.
Yeah, I wanted to just slam this thing. And then, I felt bad for it. I can't kill it.
Of course not. You haven't killed something in 20 years.
I wanted to take my gun and just start shooting. It'd probably take me 6 shots to hit it.
Chase over here. I can't kill it. I just need to let it sit there and suffer for the rest of its life.
I wanted to shoot it, so I called the cops. They came, they shot it. I did get the meat. The guy was like, "Hey, man, you want to throw this thing in the back of your truck?" I was like, "Heck yes, I do." I was like, "I didn't get to kill one this year anyway, so it works out."
So the cop came and shot it?
He legit, I reported it. They came. They were like, "Hey, everything okay? Yeah, how's your truck?" They wrote everything down. They were like, "Oh, we don't want this thing to suffer." Bang, bang. Right on the side of the road in front of 2 cars coming the other direction. I just like to imagine there was a little kid in the car just going, But
he just shot him at execution style.
I'm just glad it didn't have to suffer anymore because it kept trying to get up, but I'm pretty sure I broke its spine or something.
Oh
it was. I felt so bad for it.
This is worse than Jeremiah's horse picture.
Yeah, it was bad.
Did your airbag deploy or anything?
No, I mean, literally, I think I hit it in the perfect spot because it just. I had the plastic grill,
Chase,
and
the
it just
poor
kind
deer
of
sat there for an hour to
shattered
wait
my
on the
grill
cops.
and flipped this thing. And my headlights were fine, everything else seems to be fine. I was scared my radiator was leaking, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, it's been cold outside, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's so what officer came out? Was it the Henry County Sheriff's Department?
It was the Henry County Sheriff's Department. I have his name on a list. On a little paper, but I don't remember what it was. They were really nice.
It's not a friend of
I tried to drive my car home after I did mine, and it caught on fire.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous driving home. I just went straight home.
Like my wife and my brother-in-law came to get me because I had to go to the basketball game. I'm like, I'm 2 miles from the game. I might as well get paid. So I went. All the fluid leaked out in the car. I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll drive it home. Got halfway, half a mile up the road. The heat light comes on, and then I pulled over to the side, and the thing caught on fire. So my brother-in-law was dipping water at it at the BP where they came to get me. So consider yourself lucky.
That's good.
For the people who are pissed at me because I killed a deer, which I'm not upset over at all because I like killing deer.
Eric Holcomb said you could drive a truck. It's his fault.
I did try to kill the deer.
You drove it right through deer hunting ground.
It just wanted to commit suicide because I gave it every chance to run the other direction. And if it makes you feel better...
Yeah, you even slowed down to 45.
I did.
The speed limit.
It was a 55. It was in a 55. But hey, listen. I gutted it the next morning. I have it at the meat processing place. I'm going to eat it. It's not going to be wasted.
Did they give you a tag?
Well, I hit it at 11:30 at night. And it was raining really hard.
Was it really cold?
It was 30s. Like 30s or 35, something like that. But I threw ice on it immediately. I went and got ice.
Threw
a bunch of ice over it.
Wednesday morning, I woke up to our group chat, and it's Chase declaring, "Hey guys, I finally killed a deer."
He didn't tell us that the sheriff's killed a deer.
Right.
We found that out.
Well,
tonight.
technically, that deer would still be alive if it wasn't for me.
We found that out before the show, and I informed Chase. I was like, just for the record, I never would have told us that.
Well, the bad thing
I want to
is,
know the officer's name so we can get the real hero who
there were
actually shot the deer.
There
for
were
you.
a couple officers there.
What?
A sheriff's department, a sheriff's deputy showed up.
Did they know you as Chase from the Boss Hog?
Yeah, they
Did
said,
that come
"Hey,
up?
that's not gay Chase." And the bad thing is he shot twice. I'm pretty sure he missed the first time. So I don't know what that says about our sheriffs.
Then it obviously wasn't Matt Pierce, who never misses.
Or Brandy. Her aim is tried.
Well,
But
she's Newcastle police.
Shout out to
Nice.
them. They're very nice and
Well,
they
I
took care of me,
I look
so.
forward to their invoice for the ammunition that they
That's
discharged
true.
at the
That's
county's
true.
expense. All right. Well, I'm glad. I can't wait until you bring us some backstrap.
all right,
I will.
Chris, let's go to your final
Chris,
thoughts.
you've got a little bit of Newcastle news.
Yeah, so far, let's see. Mary has filed for
No, wait.
city council.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Sorry.
divorce.
For the city, for the city council.
Wait, Chris is married?
I always forget her last name. It starts with a B. But
Mary
Brewington.
Brewington, yes.
Councilwoman Brewington.
She has filed for re-election. Jeff Hancock has in Ward 2. Jerry Walden in 3. Aaron Dickin has not yet filed, Aaron. We're waiting patiently. Let's see. Koger hasn't filed in 5. Peckinpah has filed. We thought he
One of
might.
the at-large. So
At-large.
See, if Aaron was gay, he would be qualified for president.
He sure he'd be qualified for mayor. But no, Rex Peckinpah, we there was a potential that he was going to run for mayor, but he actually is going to go ahead and re-seek election for the at-large. And Lynn Perdue, the only Republican known to be running, is seeking re-election for his at-large.
And you're currently considering your options for what you might do.
Yes. And York is the only known mayor candidate that we know of yet.
So they only have until February 8th?
Is it 8th or is it 3rd?
I thought it was 8th. Because I think the 3rd is Super Bowl Sunday.
Rules.
I think the 3rd is Super Bowl Sunday, which might
I
be
don't know. We don't
have.
have a meeting. That's how I know. When the Libertarian Party has a meeting, that's when I know it's playoff football time.
No.
Every time Chairman Davis calls a Libertarian Party meeting, there's some sort of a Colts football game on.
Well,
What is wrong with you?
yeah.
You have no respect for Lord football.
Yeah, well, that's why, because you just called it Lord Football. And that's gross. All right.
Now, that's enough of that. Rob, this is the final chance for you to pitch your day job, how people follow you. They watch listen to the Rob Kendall Show. You're on terrestrial radio, 93.1 WIBC, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me on. It's always a blast to come out to beautiful Newcastle, drive past the Steve Alford Inn, the old shoe, the Knightstown gym. It's awesome to come out here. I always love the trip down 70, so thank you for doing that and inviting me, and thank you for all you guys do. It's a labor of love, I know, and I love listening and watching, and so thank you guys for all you do. I want to say, again, thanks to my lovely wife, Haley, who is almost done with her master's degree.
Really?
Nice.
She's almost done. She's getting close.
What's
Man.
your master's in?
MBA. She's getting an MBA. Master's in Business Administration.
I love
So
it.
she'll be able to earn the money, and you
Yep.
can just be governor. You can be civil
Yeah.
servant Rob.
It'll be great. It'll be just fantabulous. So she's working really hard. So thank you to her. You can follow me on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall, at Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. And thank you guys again for letting me be a part of the show.
Do you have the blue check mark yet?
I do not. I'm at 2,800. I don't know how they do the blue check mark.
We got to get that. For
I
you,
heard there
man.
was a process for it.
Yeah, I don't because some people
You
have
can be a
fewer
part of the
followers.
blue check mark mob.
Yeah, that's but then I've seen people with like hundreds of thousands of followers that don't have it. So
I mean,
yeah.
you're a major media celebrity.
They can take it away.
This seems
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, that would probably happen to me.
Didn't Steven Crowder's blue check mark get taken away or something like
Yeah,
that?
and then sometimes they take you off Twitter altogether if you misbehave.
Well,
Alex Jones.
there was an article in Vanity Fair, I think it was. I clicked the link on Drudge Report, but anyway, and it was about Jack Dorsey responding to complaints about neo-Nazis on Twitter, and he said, "We're trying to crack down. We really are." And I was like,
I hate Twitter.
And
Nazis.
my- and my
They're
pledge is-
almost as bad as Illinois
my
Nazis.
pledge
"What
is this.
neo-Nazis are there on Twitter?"
Next Sunday's Rob Kendall show will have Dakota Davis on it.
There we go.
Next Sundays?
You can come out during the week. We'll tape an interview. We'll work around your schedule. We'll make it happen.
Okay.
You got to.
You're
We'll
awful
figure it out.
non-committal, friend.
Yeah.
This is the 10,000
Here's my
watt
issue.
mega station.
Yeah, well, they can work around my schedule. I'm the guest. I'm the guest, all right?
I'm sort of a big deal.
So you hit me up on Facebook. We'll come out and we'll do a segment
All right.
because you're right. Chris Spangle should not be on more than Dakota Davis.
Ooh, I do want to give a shout out to Barn Beast. It is not disgusting like I used to think it was. It is actually fucking delicious.
Oh, there went the explicit label again. All right, Chris Bilbrey's listening from Winchester. He did give us in the chat real quick. I clicked a button and oh my gosh, have you ever, Rob,
Jeremiah's a
I
baby
just had
boomer?
I just had a boomer moment, and
Yeah.
I moved the taskbar on my laptop to the right screen. I thankfully knew what happened, and I got to move back. Chris posted February 8th is the filing deadline
At
for
noon.
municipal elections, noon Eastern time, or whatever your county courthouse is. Whatever your county courthouse says.
Whatever
Don't
Sue
park
goes to
in
lunch.
police parking.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't park there. Final thoughts, D squared. By the way, he's going to be in a Buick commercial. I know he's going to do WIBC this week, but by the way, boom, the Davises purchased a brand new Buick.
Oh wow!
And we
They
did.
are the world's youngest Buick buyer
Yeah, you
that
and the
has
missus.
ever existed.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I said if you buy one, you're going to end up in a commercial because you are they've been getting the bad rap for having the 72-year-old buyer, having a 22-year-old buyer. This is like you're going to be the Jared.
Yeah.
Where's the
Jared of
Buick?
Subway.
I don't see the Buick. It's right there.
yeah, like in those commercials.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah. I just caught on. Yeah.
First new car you've ever purchased?
No.
So you literally got nothing.
That's
out
not
of
your
it then.
first
Third.
new car?
You bought a new car before?
This is your third brand new car.
Yeah.
The Chevy Spark.
It's Sonic.
Oh, whatever.
That was the gayest car I've ever seen.
I've never bought
Love
a new
that
car.
car.
How's it feel to buy a new car?
Like you walk out of there and you have conflicting emotions
Yeah.
because you're like, wow, I love this new car, but then you're like, it was a bad investment. But you just like you can't go in there thinking I'm making a good investment, right? You just got to think I need to get a good enough deal to where I'll get everything I want for the money, like for the right money. So it's fine.
Congratulations.
I love the car. We go to Chicago like 4 or so times a year, and we've been taking my wife's grandmother's Buick.
Oh yeah,
They fell in love with Buick.
The LaCrosse.
well you can drive it to WIBC this week, and we'll take a spin around the circle. Maybe we'll do a Facebook Live video.
Hey,
on it.
did you tell your grandma you hit a ladder in that Buick?
A ladder.
That was true. So we were driving back from Chicago after our trip.
It wasn't
early
a
January.
ladder. I don't know
It was
why
an
you
aluminum
guys-
ladder.
No, it wasn't.
I was told it was a
It was
ladder.
a ladder.
No, it was a top rail from like an SUV.
No,
You
It was
guys
a-
kept
it
texting
was
us a ladder, and
there
Audrey
was
and I were both like,
You
"It wasn't
drove
a
over
ladder."
a ladder. I guarantee
Nah.
it.
Jeremiah's a liar.
You are fake news.
Fake news.
Lion
Jer.
chair.
Old lion chair. Old lion chair.
All right, we got that worked in. Anything else, Dakota?
Yep, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Phillips, who we already gave him a shout out at the beginning of the show because he's a Patreon member, but he also gave me a great deal on a brand new Buick Envision. And he is located at Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers, Indiana, and he will hook you up with a sweet car.
It's last week I bought a new GMC Terrain. This week Dakota
got
bought
serious
the
podcast money.
The Buick, the Buick
getting
Envision.
none of it.
So
Has Christy Avery upped her donations?
it's been quite the week for the guys over at Andy Moore. Hopefully they realize the number of cars that the Boss Auxiliary podcast has purchased, and we can work out some sort of a deal because the Andy Moore hotline sounds amazing right now. Next week we have the new editor of the Courier-Times. Is that correct? Travis Week-Wyke.
Yeah, that's true.
Saved Games Library, downtown Newcastle, Indiana.
Wyke like Budweiser.
American hero Travis Wyke, medic
Yeah.
to the United States Army. He's had
Not anymore. He's been honorably
Former.
discharged.
retired.
Right?
Henry
Was it
County,
an honorable
Newcastle. Everybody's
discharge?
got like 3 jobs.
that was
Everybody's got like 3 things they do.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to having Travis.
probably
on.
moved to an honorable discharge now. It was
Hopefully it
probably just a
wasn't the other
general
one.
under some kind of family.
Nobody cares.
Hopefully it wasn't the bad one, you know.
I don't think
We'll
it
have-
was.
We don't support those people on our show.
We'll have Travis on next week. Thank you so much to Rob Kendall. I'm excited that he came out here. I'm amazed every week that people come join us from Indianapolis out here on this
In
show.
vogue.
It's a good time.
Who did I book next week, Jer?
What's that?
Who did we book next week?
We just talked about it. Travis Wyke. Whatever. I listened to the Espresso podcast. They are copying us, just like Juice in the Morning's been copying us. Brent Terhun's on their show next week. It's we are trendsetters. This show,
To be fair, we
is
stole
dominating.
we stole the mic arms from Juice in the Morning.
That's true. But we are setting the tone for podcasts in Central Indiana. We're East Central Indiana's favorite, but I think we are Indiana's trend-setting
We're
podcast.
getting pretty close to having to change the logo again.
How big is that windmill going to be? That's the question.
I think
All
that
right.
the whole thing needs to be a windmill.
Real quick before we sign off, Dakota, is tomorrow going to be your first hockey game?
No.
No, you been?
Yes,
Good.
plenty of times. in the
Oh
past.
yes, autograph session. The Boss Hog Liberty guys will be at the Indy Fuel game at 7:30. It's a junket Friday night. The Fuel game. Chris Guffey.
Please don't walk up to me during the fuel game.
No, we will be in section 208.
I was told we're in a suite. Are we not in a suite?
They don't have suites at the Farmer's Galaxy. Oh, well, Andrew Smith might be able to help us out in that.
Yeah,
that
man, our
press
friend
box.
Andrew. I'm in negotiations to get Andrew Smith, the voice of the Indiana Fuel, on the program. But he's also
Sure.
a very busy guy. Between Rob and Andrew, I think they call about 350 games a year. So I don't know. Someday we'll find a Thursday night that Andrew Smith is not doing something, and we'll have him on the show too. That's enough of this. We will see you guys next week. I'm told I.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.